Hello and welcome to the dressing gown series. This is episode 4, and if you're not familiar with the dressing gown series, because this is the first time I've actually popped it on YouTube, it started off on Instagram because I was having conversations with members, clients of mine, friends, family, and I wanted to speak on these topics that I was having conversations on, which were all around like the real life topics and issues that women faced in life. So whether that was relationship with food, body image, mindset, lifestyle, and the dressing gown just was a little bit of a laugh because it's like very comfortable, very cozy, and I basically live in the dressing gown. But what I wanted to do today was pop this episode on YouTube because I wanted it to be a little bit longer to speak through a framework that I've used for the past 2-3 years now to plan and look at the goals that I want to achieve within the next year. And the framework that I use is reflection, planning, and aligning. The very simple psychology-based steps to understand yourself, your why, the behaviours that you have and the habits you have to build consistency and to achieve goals. So let's get into it. The first step is to reflect. Now, what this does is build self-awareness and helps you move away from setting goals that you think you should set, and instead it helps you look at your previous patterns of habits and behaviours and your why and who you want to show up as. So there's 2 parts of this. The first part is looking at the goals that you set previously, and I like to look at my journals and what goals I actually did set within my journals or within my diary. And I also like to look at my photo album of the year to see what sort of things I might have achieved, and look on my Pinterest board too, because I tend to create a vision board every year, and looking back at these 3 things really help. When you are looking at these, I want you to ask yourself what you achieved. So the goals you actually wrote down, what of those did you achieve and what you did not achieve. Then I want you to look at what things you might have achieved that wasn't planned. This is where that photo album comes in really nicely, because everyone takes pictures of different things throughout the year and you tend to forget because those things you might not have wrote down. Ask yourself what habits helped you get there and what habits might not have helped and why that might have been. So once you reflected on your past goals, your habits and behaviours, then I want you to go on to part 2 of reflection. The second part is reflect on yourself. Now, the main thing here is to think about your core values. Whether you know what they are or not, I want you to list them all down. And if you need examples, I will link James Clear's list below, because this is something that I look at quite often when I need some inspiration. And once you understand your core values, then you can begin to decide on your habits, your behaviours, your goals that align with your core values. I then like to brain dump on what my higher self will look like. A little page of my higher self and circle it, and then around that I write down words, phrases, anything that excites me on how my higher self shows up, what they look like, what they feel like, what their daily habits are, how they dress, how they speak. Whatever you view your higher self as, write it down, and that is who you are becoming. Step 2 is to plan. So there are 6 areas in life that you want to plan for. Now, if you have seen anything to do with Grace Beverley and her planning, I've used this for the past 2 years or so now when I have been planning my specific goals. The 6 areas of your life that you want to plan for are personal development, relationships, health, career, finances, and attitude or mindset. What I like to do first is brain dump any goals for all 6 areas, because what tends to happen is when you're excited and motivation is high, you probably have a lot of things that you actually want to achieve within the year. So with this brain dump, I like to get everything down on paper. Again, I tend to do like a brain dump for each area and write around what I want to achieve. Then after I've done that for each 6 areas, I almost look at 1 or 2 main goals that I want to focus on for that year. Once you have these 1 or 2 main goals, you need to write down your why. So why those goals matter to you. Once you've got the why, we then want to break them down. We've got monthly milestones, which are the goals that you work towards in that month and what actually matters within that month. Weekly consistencies, so what does a realistic week look like to you and what can keep you consistent? And finally, we have your daily non-negotiables. These are the bare minimum that if you do these things, you are still aligned to your goal. The final part is to plan for any obstacles. So for example, if motivation is low, we plan for this. If life gets busy or we're a little bit more stressed, what can stay and what is important to you? A nice tip that I have here is the 2-day rule. So if you go 2 days without your daily non-negotiables or things that matter to you, you can't let that slide for more than 2 days. 2 days is okay, 1 day is fine, but anything more than 2 days, we need to check ourselves and realign towards our daily non-negotiables, weekly consistencies, and our monthly milestones. Step 3 is align. This is where we look at our environment and how it supports our goals. So what we want to look at is what you consume, what accounts you follow, what trends you might be looking into. We want to look at this not just digitally, but in our environments, in our community, in our social circles. Things that we can do is unfollow any accounts that you know don't align with you or that makes you feel like uneasy when you view it. We want to be following accounts that make us feel good, that align with our values. Always think if it's a maybe, then it's a no. This can almost come into any aspect of your life. We're not holding on to things just for the sake of them because life is too short. We need to think about things that we are holding on to that consume us, that aren't serving us. And then this moves nicely onto our energy leaks, where we are given energy and where we are letting that energy slip. So what habits, what places, what people are we given energy to where we aren't getting that energy reciprocated? I always remember when I read James Smith's book, I think it was the first one, years and years and years ago, and he was really focusing on the people who are around you and whether they support you or whether they want to see you win or achieve your goals. It's so important to surround yourself with these people who are like-minded, who help support you and give you the same energy as what you give them. That's something I always think about too. The final step, which is I think the most fun and exciting part, is to visualize and embody your goals. This is where I like to start my Pinterest vision board, and the reason I do this is because when you visualize, it creates a neural pathway that is similar to actually achieving it. So it's not just going on Pinterest and choosing all of the pretty aesthetic things that you put on a mood board. Yes, you want to choose things that's exciting to you, but you want to focus on how you want to live, how you want to feel, and what you want to identify as. Choose things on your vision board that relates to the person you are becoming, your goals, your habits, your values. And then that means you have clarity on that visually too. So by using the framework Reflect, Plan and Align, you are choosing something that you can evolve with. You know yourself, you know what you are becoming, and you know what it takes to get there. Just something to help you stay aligned with yourself and who you want to become. So I hope this helps, and I hope you take into 2026 everything you need to from this and all of the magic and all of the positivity.